In the bid to preach, edify, and encourage as an exhorter, I do not relent in the quest for knowledge. I am amazed at the things that I discover. As I embarked on a journey through the pages of the Holy Book, I came across certain men whose deeds thrilled me. I searched through my heart, looking out for the best vocabulary that suits the quality of these men by the reason of their actions. These men responded to the promptings and dealings of God. They followed and obeyed His instructions to the latter, irrespective of how silly, unthinkable, and crazy they seemed, without trying to figure out or give excuses. They resolved to do anything, just anything, if it was for God and the advancement of His kingdom. All they were concerned about was the voice and will of God. If God said it, they were willing to do it. Their will and choice was sold out to God. They were dead to self and flesh. I choose to call them Word Men. It does not make sense that one man will build an ark of 450,000 cubits, but Noah did at the Lord's command. I could imagine the men of his day laughing and making a mockery of him, but it did not stop him. The flood came. He and his family were saved. It was unreasonable for Abraham to leave his father's house. I could picture his neighbors asking, "Abraham, where are you going with your family?" And he would say, "To a land that the Lord will show me." I see them muttering to themselves, "He's not even certain of his destination. Is he all right?" As if it was not enough, he took his son, the one promised and given to him by the Lord at his old age to be sacrificed, not minding if God would send another Isaac. How can we explain that by just being touched by a clock, Elisha destroyed the billion-dollar farmland he had built for years in one day to follow Elijah? How could the prophet of the Most High walk around naked and barefoot for 3 solid years? Trust me, that did not matter to Isaiah as long as Egypt and Ethiopia will receive a sign of how they would be taken into captivity by Assyria. Oh, Jeremiah, at the Lord's instructions, he bought a waistcloth and hid it in the cleft of a rock. Irrespective of the cost, he did not care that he did not wear it for long and that it will be destroyed. Again, he went down to the potter's house to hear God's word. Come on, could God not have spoken to him in the confines of his robe? He had bought a potter's earthen flask, took the elders and senior priests with him to the valley with the flask in his hand. Oh, how stupid he would have looked in their sight. However, if God could pass messages to his people through all of this, it was fine by Uncle Jerry. Prophet Ezekiel had a will and a choice. Oh yes, he could say no to God for bearing the punishment of Israel and Judah. But no, he yielded. He was tied up, laid on his left side for 390 days and on his right side for 40 days, eating few selected foods with a measured quantity of meal and water to consume daily. As if it was not okay, God took his wife, asked him not to mourn, weep, or shed tears. Trust me, Ezekiel did not. And he kept declaring God's words. Couldn't he have just prophesied against these cities and to the people without passing through all of this? Oh no, God wanted him to be a sign for the people. Show me a man who will not desire to marry a decent woman. Oh, Hosea. Hosea married a prostitute as instructed by the Lord because Israel needed a perfect demonstration of God's love for them. Tell me, which son of a priest would not love to be at the temple eating his father's portion of the fat offerings? John the Baptist. He neglected the enjoyment the temple offered and made the wilderness his abode, eating locust and honey. Oh, he became that great voice in the wilderness that men came to see from the city and never escaped being soaked in the Jordan. At the word of an angel, Philip rose up, stood on the desert road, not knowing what he was going to do there and not thinking about how he would get there and return. Oh, if he had not gone, heaven would have lost his soul. stripped of their garments, beaten with a rod and thrown into prison. Rather than lament, Paul and Silas prayed and sang hymns to God in chains. Stoned and dragged out of cities, Paul would get up, dust his body, and continue in the work of missions. His moments of persecution were turned into platforms for preaching the gospel. You know, I will not end. I will not end without speaking to you. Yes, you. What is your best that you have given and done for the Lord and the kingdom? What prices have you paid for God to be seen, heard, and glorified? Are you ready to do just anything for the Lord? Would you yield to His instruction, or do you still have a choice? Do you still care about what men will think or say and never take a step? I am certain that when men looked at Noah, Abraham, Elisha, and the other men, they called them mad. However, they had to be that awed to be mightily used and blessed of God. They were first word men before they emerged great men. Think on these things.